What is going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends Champion Spotlight video, and today we're going to be talking about the Sacred Order Epic Defense-Based Champion, Godseeker Aniri. Now this champion is absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to go over her. She's going to be helping so many people in an incredible amount of areas in this game here, and as always, the first thing I want to talk about is, let's talk about her appearance here. I do like the battle torn and the kind of war scarred face she has going on here. Also, one thing we cannot overlook is how awesome this weapon actually looks. The shield is a nice touch. It is a little bit basic. And then we have the, I don't know, the concrete wings, the steel wings on her. Overall, I think she looks amazing as a champion, which definitely fits her kit. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next. So let's go over her skills and see what she can do. Alright, so the first skill we're going to talk about is the A1 Blade of Blessing. This attacks one enemy, heals the ally with the lowest amount of HP by 5% of their max HP, cannot heal this champion damage based on defense. Let's see what it looks like and see if there is anything special going on here. Alright. Pretty regular hack and slash ability. Now as far as this, we have the A2 Quest for Meaning. This is a 3-turn cooldown. Once fully booked, attacks all enemies, heal all allies by 15% of their max health. So it's their max health, doesn't have to do with Godseeker. Then decreases the duration of all buffs on enemies by 1 turn, increases the duration of all buffs on your allied team by 1 turn. So a lot going on there. Damage dealing ability. Heals allies, decreases the duration of buffs, increases your duration of buffs. A really stacked A2 already. So let's take a look and see what this actually looks like. Alright, so it's kind of like a flurry of arrows. Can't complain there. Let's just have our food go here. Hopefully he dies. That's the goal. One more attack. Kill him. Beautiful. Okay, so right there we saw something interesting. This is her passive, Godseeker Aniri's passive here. Let's go over this really quick. It's called Guardian Angel. What a very fitting name for this. We have a 4-turn cooldown, and the passive effect is increases the amount of healing allies receive by 10%, obviously affecting her abilities and any other champions you do have, which can make for some very strong synergy down the line. Now we have this active effect here. If an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, preempts that hit and instantly places a revive on death buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. So really cool here. We just saw that pretty much live and in action there with Inquisitor Shamail here, who did die and then got revived. There's a lot of cool things and things we do want to test with this. I did test this already. I'm excited to talk about it because a lot of skills like this weren't properly done in the past, but I'm happy to say that this champion did a very good job. And we're going to go over that in more detail a little bit later on in this video. Let's go ahead and burn this A1 ability here so we can make sure he does die now that the passive is on cooldown, and we will show you what the A3 looks like. Alright, so now it's her turn. We're going to be talking about Rise of Glory. This is a 4-turn cooldown. Once booked, revives a dead ally with 50% HP, then fills their turn meter by 50%, and this is the amazing part. Resets the cooldowns of all of their skills back to 0. So if a champion has an incredible ability, it goes on cooldown, they die, the passive had already procced again, which is going to be the tricky part if you think about it, but if the passive is already procced and she gets to use this revive on that champion, it's going to be so incredible. I'm really excited to show you where this can actually shine. So let's take a look, and just in case there's any cool animation here. Pretty basic. We have the angel wings above Inquisitor Shamail. So those are the animations, those are the basic rundowns. Now let's move on to the next topic when talking about Godseeker Aniri. Alright, so the first thing we're going to discuss about Godseeker Aniri is going to be her base statistics. For HP, we have 15,195 base health. This is on the lower side, however, her kit is so good, it's really hard to complain about everything. This is going to increase the kind of gear check on this champion, making her a little bit harder to gear than some of the other champions, but it's going to be worth it. The attack doesn't matter for this champion. 1,244 defense, which is very strong for an epic. Now she is a void epic, so you can kind of expect something strong like that. We do have 99 speed, which isn't crazy on the upper threshold, but it's definitely not on the lower threshold, so pretty much smack in the middle there. And we do have 45 base resistance on this champion. Alright, now guys, let's talk about Godseeker Aniri and how you should be gearing this champion in pretty much every single aspect of the game. Now I highly recommend running HP% gloves, HP% chest piece, getting defense substats in between there as you can, speed boots as always, and with the weapon, helmet, and shield, try to mix and weave in some speed and accuracy if you really want to capitalize on that A2 ability that does have synergy with accuracy overall, with decreasing the duration of those buffs. Now, one thing that's really important that's going to stack very well with this champion is actually going to be the refreshed accessories from the bazaar that is a reward from the 3v3 currency system. It's very strong to kind of put Godseeker Aniri in as much reflex type gear or relentless gear, something like that. So she's cycling her cooldown, she becomes this absolutely incredible reviver with this passive that's so strong, with that A2 that's really strong. The cooldowns aren't that long, so you can get away with running her with 200 speed, 220 speed. So those are kind of my top sets. You want the refresh accessories, maybe reflex gear, if not reflex, immortal gear, life gear, speed gear, or that new perception gear that gives accuracy as well as speed. I probably wouldn't run with this speed set because survivability is going to be something you want to watch very closely with this champion here. And as far as the banner goes, I would actually elect to use the banner slot last, just so you can kind of weigh for this champion specifically, not when gearing all champions, but for this one specifically, see if you need accuracy or if you want to go with something like HP or defense overall. I think the banner is a very solid piece to kind of use in this specific case here to kind of really round off all of her stats once you see all of the other 8 pieces on this champion. Now, as far as masteries go, this is probably the recommended tree I'm going to recommend for, I want to say, 80 to 99.9% of people. Then the reason why I kind of broke it down that way is because if you did need extra damage for some reason, you can definitely go down the offense tree, take that War Master talent so you do get some extra damage on the bosses, and she does have an AoE, so War Master can proc on multiple targets in an AoE ability, but for the most part, I would probably recommend this talent tree here, which is going to be amazing for any type of progression, early game all the way through the end game, arena, doom tower, all of these things combined. So this is where I pretty much stand with this. Maybe you can swap a few things in and out here if you see any mastery on here that you're going to prefer based on other champions, because masteries do have a lot of synergy with other champions and their ability. So if you see something you might want to take, definitely consider that as well. But as far as an overall base guide and view for this champion and her masteries, this is kind of the route I would recommend for all of you. Alright guys, so the first place we're going to talk about Godseeker Aniri is going to be in the Doom Tower. We're fighting Agreth right here. I believe it's the Nether Spider. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I have been wrong before. The names do kind of slip my mind, but we are running Double Septimus, Melga, Doom Priest, and Godseeker Aniri here. Now you don't need to run this exact comp. I'm simply showing you a concept piece here on why Godseeker is such a strong Void Epic champion here. This can be applied to pretty much any champions besides Septimus, and you're going to see why very quickly. So this boss, I wouldn't say it's one of the harder ones. People can definitely struggle with this if you don't have the right champions, but Holy Sword from Septimus is the ability you want to apply to the rest of your champions here. We have a 4-turn cooldown. It deals a ton of damage. You don't need defense down or weaken for this specific boss because it was nerfed and capped, so I can do the maximum damage without having those 2 buffs, so I'm not worried about that extra slot I'm bringing here. So now we're kind of hoping for someone to die. Unfortunately, no one did die there. You hate to see it. Let's go ahead and cycle through here. Now, one thing to know, as you probably would assume, Godseeker will not use her A2 because it is an AoE ability. So that's one important thing to keep in mind while thinking about this. And we do have obviously Doom Priest, an amazing cleanser for this boss. Now we really want a champion to die here. Maybe we're going to see it. Don't want to use any type of healing. It does look like, okay, Doom Priest is going to cleanse there. We really want a champion to die here, and maybe we'll see. Okay, there's the revive on death. Now we're hoping for one more death, which is going to, okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Cycle through here, Rise of Glory. What this does is I just reduce the cooldown of Septimus Holy Sword back to 0. Now we get to really take advantage of that amazing cooldown and reduce it by a full 2 turns. It's going to speed this run up to make it much faster than it was. As we can see, the original one doesn't have that available to it. So we're going to use the A1, put this on auto. We do have 2 revivers here, thankfully, to kind of make this work, but this is so strong and she's going to be incredible for this boss. Sanguini is also another good boss, but we're not really talking about the Doom Tower here. I just wanted to show you the strength of being able to revive a champion with an enemy max health ability, kind of like this one, and to show you the insane value that she adds to all of these champions. Maybe we're going to see it again. So there's the revive from the passive here, and this is where it can get a little bit dicey. You do want to make sure that while the passive is going off, the next champion to die, we would want it to be that second Septimus here, and since we do have 2 revivers, you kind of want Godseeker to kind of snipe that revive from Melga if it is on a Septimus. So if you had to be careful, you could take it off of auto. This is very specific to Agrith. Since there's so many debuffs coming up, there's so much cleansing needed. There are definitely a ton of compositions you can run for this, but the main point was to show you how strong Godseeker can be with resetting enemy max health abilities. And where can you use this to your advantage? You can look forward to using this champion in the Fire Knight dungeon, having her reset really crucial abilities. Once you get to the Fire Knight, you can actually let champions die, just so Godseeker can revive them with the passive, and then her ability after that, fully resetting the cooldowns, letting you get down that shield that much quicker, leading to your success in any progression environment, or even some very creative farming team that you can come up with. The same thing can also be applied when you are looking at the Dragon Dungeon, whether it's stage 20 or an earlier stage, really getting use of using Godseeker to revive, resetting those cooldowns. Maybe you have a debuff snap or a poison explosion champion like Zavia. You need to get her cooldown up quicker. You can kind of use her as a budget Kymar. However, you're using champion deaths to coordinate all of this, which can definitely work with the Scorch ability. And finally, Ice Golem is another awesome one where we have champions always killing themselves, whether it's a Royal Guard doing way too much damage to the actual Ice Golem. That Frigid Winds comes out of nowhere, one-shots your whole team. You're really hoping that if you build your Godseeker well enough, maybe with the Seeker with the defense up, she survives, she revives everybody, resets the cooldown, and you have a very nice, very clean run, and more importantly, a quicker run than you did have before. Now, one thing that I did mention before is Godseeker Aniri. One of her abilities, which is the passive, which has been kind of messed up on many champions before. We're talking about Guardian Angel, this active effect here. If an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, preempts that hit and instantly places a revive on death buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is actually taken. Now, what do we want to know? What about multi-hit champions? What better way to test the multi-hit champion than to run ourselves against a blender team, let them go first, see who dies, and see if the passive actually procs or if it's just going to kill them right through it, making this ability useless. And they've done many champions like this before. Champions like Trunda can fight champions that have abilities like this. The first hit kills them, they get revived, the second hit from Trunda goes through, and they die, completely wasting pretty much everything that that champion offers. And it's really, you hate to see it, you really hate to see it. So we're going to test this out and confirm once and for all what this new champion can bring and if this actually does work. Put on 1 speed so we can see. And unfortunately, I don't know if they're not crit capped. I'm not really sure what happened here. Let's just use some A1 abilities. I probably should have used, okay, counterattack, beautiful. You want our Elder Skarg to die here. Not quite. Okay, we're gonna hit the Arbiter. Please kill my friend. He's gonna get a small heal here, nothing too crazy. We want to use this A1 here. Right, counterattack. Nobody cares. We really want Elder Skarg to die, which should happen here with this A2 from Skullcrown. If not that ability there. Okay, beautiful. We have the A2 there. This isn't really what I wanted to show you. We do see the counterattacks weaving in through here. We have the basic revive there. And Rise of Glory. Honestly, none of this matters. We're going to redo this run. You did kind of see the breakdown there, but it looks like there were some unlucky crits. Maybe my champions are too tanky, maybe they got unlucky with Helm Smasher procs. We're going to fight them again and hope we do in fact lose here. I don't really want to risk taking Ursuga out because I do believe that he's kind of a key factor in people surviving. You know what? I completely lied. We're just going to risk it. We don't have time for this. If we get 1 shot, it is what it is. We're going to try these 3 champions here. Someone's definitely going to die. Let's see. First hit goes through. Okay, our whole team actually died there, but you saw the point I was trying to make there. What we just saw was a brilliant example. We got hit 5 times and still the revive on death procced. Everything worked as intended here. Let's go ahead and throw Ursuga in just one more time here. So everything worked exactly as intended. Champion died. Champion was revived despite all of those extra hits coming through and in fact killing these champions. Okay, here we go. Revive on death. He dies again. What do? Use this awesome revive ability here, and this is just game, set, match. This is why she is such a good champion. They actually did an amazing job here. We'll kind of put this on auto and just click on Arbiter just to see what we can do. And I'm pretty sure Ursuga is going to do a ton of damage, but we'll play it by ear. So there was the AoE from her. Defense on weaken on all of them. We should be seeing, I don't know if Ursuga already used her AoE. Who knows? Decent amount of damage coming from our Godseeker, even though we built no damage whatsoever. So the revive isn't going to be up for a while. So it does look like we actually are going to lose this. And the passive, so this is one thing I want to talk about right here. I'm using Swift Parry gear on this champion. The passive procced and so did revive on death. This is the only thing that can be viewed as not ideal, suboptimal. I guess those are the 2 best words. Ideally, what you would want to happen is you would want the internal system of Swift Parry to be put on hold to pick up that Godseeker has this revive on death ability. It's going to proc first and give priority to that skill, allowing Swift Parry to proc at a later time. That didn't happen here, so now we're sitting with 1 unkillable buff, 1 revive on death buff, and we're pretty much losing benefit here. Now the good news is we do have our revive up, so we do revive our whole team. No, oh, I clicked on the wrong champion, of course. Okay, I messed up there. Regardless of the point I was trying to explain, that's the only problem that I saw with her. And one thing that I don't believe I went over, maybe we can find one. It doesn't look like we are going to be able to find one. Is I was using a Lydia, so this is where Godseeker is actually extremely strong against a champion like a Lydia. And it's almost controversial, I'm going to use that word, it's almost controversial that they released this champion while Lydia is still in this game, still active. She is a rather hard reward to get, if you want to be honest. And this champion is the 1 champion counter to everything Lydia does. So if you don't know what I mean, she's going to apply this passive here. Lydia is going to deny this passive, which is going to be, okay, we denied a revive. However, once again, this is 1 passive and that's another passive. Those passives are just simply canceling each other out. What's going to happen next is the faster champion is always going to succeed. So we're going to have a revive right after this, being that Rise of Glory here. And I hate to say it, but it does make Lydia useless with just 1 champion. I know we've gone over the Cardinal strategy with using Cardinal and other champions like a Brachus or a Krutroxa, and then finally using someone like Kitus to kind of clean up with that new Cardinal 2.0 strategy. Now, all you need is a Godseeker. You don't need Cardinal anymore. You build Godseeker with the stats you need. She's kind of all-in-one built in. As soon as a champion dies, she puts that revive on death. It gets denied. The enemy Lydia gets a turn. You still have 1 turn left on your immunity set on the Godseeker. She then uses the A3, revives everybody. They don't instantly get to go again, but you kind of get the point I'm saying here. And it is unfortunate to see, and I only think it's a big deal because Lydia is a kind of hard-earned reward you will get from the faction wars, and the fact that they gave this new Void all of these skills you actually need to counter her with 1 kit, that is something to consider. Now, one thing I didn't talk about is the books here. As we can see, she does have quite a hefty book investment. So the question is going to be, what can you do if you don't want to book her? Rise of Glory goes to a 7-turn cooldown. This is really not good if you don't book this. 7 turns is way too long. Same thing with the passive, you have 7 turns. Definitely a bit book heavy. If you want this champion to really succeed, you're going to have to invest. Now, I don't think the passive is as big of a deal as something like this A3 here, Rise of Glory. However, if you want maximum efficiency, you're always going to want to book this champion. and you can kind of suffer from having books going to the A2 and A1. The extra healing is going to be nice. It's going to add up for sure. However, while this champion is kind of a defense-based healer slash reviver, her main point is going to be how strong she is and what she offers in the reviving kind of section of this champion. So it is what it is. I have noticed they have increased the requirement of books in a lot of champions lately. I don't really have an opinion on it. I think they can probably do better. I think it's hard enough to get books, and having such a high requirement isn't probably best option to go through, but that's just my personal opinion. Alright guys, so the only thing I haven't talked about yet is going to be campaign, kind of in the clan boss. Campaign, the same thing applies with Doomtower and Dungeon. The clan boss, I wouldn't recommend trying to run this champion in a counterattack speed tune team. The reason why is you do get turn meter gain. Now there is something interesting about resetting all the skills on that revive. Maybe some type of clan boss composition can be made, but she's so strong outside of the clan boss area, it would be really hard to justify her anywhere else. That's kind of my feel on clan boss. If you want to throw her into a speed team, she's probably going to do much better than a champion like Arbiter, a champion like Sifi, just because of her kit and how strong it is with that double revive and kind of the low cooldowns once she is fully booked. So those are things to consider. But as far as clan boss, that kind of ends it on there. I don't have really lots of opinions on different comps you can run with her. It just doesn't seem to be the area of the game that she's going to really shine the most in. Alright guys, that's going to conclude my champion spotlight for you today. What do you think about this champion? Is she not absolutely incredible? I was really excited to pull her. I actually pulled 2 of her, and I'm kind of interested to see what kind of synergy 2 can have. Not that everyone's going to have a duplicate of her, and some people may want to use her as a book because it does take quite a few books to in fact get this champion. But give me your feedback, give me your thoughts. What do you think of this champion? Do you in fact agree that she is absolutely insane like I do? I'm interested to hear your opinions. As always guys, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my next video, and I will see you all in the next upload.